All right. Welcome, everyone, to Fraud Fact Friday Live. It is, of course, Friday, time for another live episode, and I have Kelly Paxton with me here today. And thanks for joining me, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me.
So welcome anyone coming on. I can see some people jumping on now. Really quickly, my quick intro of Kelly. Kelly's worked... she's a kind of a star fraud fighter here, and she's worked all types of investigations over the past 20 years, ranging from money laundering, embezzlement, conflict of interest, criminal defense work, and lots of experience in both the public and private sector. Clients ranging from government agencies, publicly traded companies, to nonprofits, even the gaming sector. So Kelly is, yes, like I said, a fraud fighting superstar, and I'm very happy to have her. And we're going to start with the usual icebreaker. Before we do that, I'd like to have everyone who jumped on kind of comment where you are viewing from, so we can, hopefully see what's going on. I'm trying to follow the action here on my phone, so I apologize for looking over to the side to view your comments. But yeah, Kelly, where are you broadcasting from?
Portland, Oregon, West Coast.
Oh, cool. So it's early.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock here in Germany, but yeah, getting ready for the weekend after this. So yeah, anybody viewing, be sure to comment where you're viewing from, and make sure you send any questions you have. Christian is joining us again from Virginia. Hi, Christian. Thanks for joining again. And for our icebreaker, as more people jump on, you've seen in the last episode the Fraud Fact Friday Fast Facts about the guest. And I'll just let the guest keep the time. We have 30 seconds to answer 5 either-or questions. It's just supposed to be kind of a fun thing. So, you up for it?
I am up for it.
Okay. So, I'm going to start. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Music or podcasts?
Oh, podcasts.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could only use one, Facebook or LinkedIn?
Oh, LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn.
Okay. And the pink collar criminal, male or female?
Primarily female, but it can be male.
Okay. All right. So I always try to have the last question kind of lead us into our topic, but any interesting podcasts you're listening to at the moment? You preferred podcasts over music?
Oh my gosh, Swindled. Have you listened to Swindled?
Swindled. I don't think so, no?
Oh yeah, Swindled is just top notch. And then How I Built This with Guy Raz. Love the stories on how I built this. And Pivot with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on
Cool.
podcasts all the time.
All right. And the coffee thing, how much coffee are you drinking a day?
I have one
Keeping it
decaf latte. That's it.
okay. All right. Good. So you're not running on caffeine?
No, I don't.
Pure energy.
You don't want to see me on caffeine.
Okay. So I've seen quite a few more jumped on. So I'm going to now give you a chance. We're going to get back to the pink collar crime thing. That's our main topic, of course. But I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell me and the viewers a little bit about your road to where you are now in the fraud fighting community.
So I actually started out in finance. My first job out of college was at the Chicago Board of Trade. I did finance. I was at a brokerage firm, and we had a hinky client, and he ended up getting arrested by customs. And so I called the agent, and I became a customs special agent.
Okay.
And, I kind of say my career is all about money. It's how people invested it, how people stole it. And I'm just fascinated by what people will do for money. So in the last 3 years, I primarily speak and train. I do take cases, but they have to be, as I say, very pink. So embezzlement, cases. 60% of all dentists get embezzled by their nice office manager. So dentists have always been good clients, unfortunately for them. But I really love getting the word out about, I call it garden variety embezzlement. It's the street, it's the main street crime.
Okay.
We don't relate to Bernie Madoff. We relate to the soccer club getting ripped off, the water district getting ripped off, the small business. That's because those people live amongst us. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
about helping people keep their money.
Very nice cause. And you've been, as you said, out and about, you're doing a lot of trainings. You've been out and about quite a bit lately. So kind of allows you to take the pulse of the fraud fighting community, the fraud trends. What would you say are the hottest fraud topics right now, aside, of course, from pink collar crime?
One of the things that I hear and see a lot about is artificial intelligence and how it's going to stop fraud and
Okay.
help us stop fraud. But you know what? When a business doesn't even open their bank statement, I don't care how much artificial intelligence you have, it's not going to help. So there's just all this money going into artificial intelligence and stuff like that. But the small business owners who AI means nothing to them. It just kind of really means nothing to them. So it's really paying attention. Tom Hughes, who's a serial pink collar criminal, he said if it took him 6 weeks, that's all it took him to know if he could steal from a business or not. Because if the business owner handed their bank statement in the envelope unopened, he knew they weren't paying attention to the finances.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the small business owner needs to be opening their statements and
getting those statements at home. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a simple thing, is mail your bank statements home. And people are like, why would I do that? And it's like, because I can make you look like $1 million when you have $10.12 in your bank account.
Yeah. So the artificial intelligence buzz weighted with the human intelligence side.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming to our main topic, of course, pink collar crime. I got a lot of questions from colleagues and friends in advance. What is that? What are the roots of this term, and what does it represent exactly?
So the term was popularized in 1989 by Dr. Kathleen Daly. But the one thing that you'll find out about me is I do not hesitate to pick up the phone, send an email, send a LinkedIn request. And I've communicated with Dr. Daly because she's in Australia. And she popularized the term in 1989 in Criminology magazine. And it's petty acts committed by low to mid-level workers, primarily women. She didn't say all women, from the workplace. So no one steals, $2 million in one check. They steal $2 million over a period of time. And the first check is probably a small amount and literally could even be a mistake. So, but it's the low to mid-level employees.
Okay.
And garden variety embezzlement.
Yeah. So I heard a little bit to the answer of my next question already, but what is the difference then exactly between white collar crime and pink collar crime?
So white collar crime, I say, think of Bernie Madoff, Enron.
So the big
It's Ponzi schemes, it's financial statement fraud, it's corruption and bribery. That's your typical white collar crime. Pink collar crime, I say it's the offense, not the offender. So it's embezzlement. It's taking money from a business. And pink collar is lower level employees. It's accounts receivable, accounts payable, the city clerk, the treasurer for a soccer league. It's those type of positions. But I'm a little conflicted. If a CEO embezzles, I kind of still say that's a pink collar crime because it's embezzling. Now, if a CEO is committing financial statement fraud or a Ponzi scheme, I say that's a white collar crime.
Okay. And last week we had gray collar crime.
Yep.
Are there any other colors that you're aware of?
Yeah, red collar.
Really? Okay.
Red collar is when a financial crime ends up leading to murder or suicide.
Okay.
And Rich Brody out of Arizona and Frank Perry out of Chicago both specialize in that.
Okay. Very interesting. I actually hadn't heard of that one before.
Okay, well, you're going to have one or both of them on.
Yeah, we've got to complete the full spectrum here of colors. So what are just a comment. Hello to Honey Bueno from Texas.
Oh, hi, honey.
So yeah, anybody watching, again, don't be afraid to use the little buttons there for the likes or the curious if there's something that you find interesting, or comment. It's the usability is just like a normal post. So send in any questions that you have from Kelly. She's happy to address them as we go forward. So what are some of the experiences you've had so that we can also better grasp the concept of pink collar crime? What are some experiences you've had within this area of fraud? Some examples that you've worked in the past.
So one of the things is that most of these, and I'm going to just say women right now, are offenders. They don't have criminal histories.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean they haven't done it before, for sure. It just means that if they've gotten caught before, that the business owner may just fire them and not prosecute them. So according to the ACFE report to the nations, only 4% of the fraudsters in the survey had criminal histories. It doesn't mean that they haven't done it. And I say that if someone starts a job and steals within, I'm going to say, the first 6 months, they've done it before. So look at where they were before,
mm-hmm.
and you might have an idea. But you can have an employee who literally has been there 30 years, has been well behaved for 30 years, and something happens, and then they start to steal.
Mm-hmm.
So a criminal history isn't necessarily a pink flag. One of the pink flags is never taking a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take a vacation because if they do, they're going to get caught. That bank statement's going to come into the office. They're going to get a phone call from a customer saying, hey, why is my payment I made last month not showing up? So they don't take vacations. And then does the lifestyle match the salary? And I kind of call that the parking lot audit. If they show up in a Range Rover and you're paying them 40 grand a year, it doesn't
add up.
Yeah. So those are some of the things. Control freaks, they don't want to upgrade the software. They're still working, and I joke, QuickBooks 1999, when you can turn off the audit trail. That doesn't happen anymore. But if they're very controlling in the work, they're generally very liked and trusted. And that's how they, get to the money. They're trusted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm known as the fraud hashtag queen. I love hashtags. And
that's funny you say that. It's actually how I came across your profile, through your use of the hashtags. It worked.
I did it to keep track of what I was posting. So that's how it started. I don't have a marketing background at all. It didn't come from that. It came so I could keep track of what I was posting. So, but one of my hashtags is trust is not an internal control. And then another one is it's not rocket science. The money is here and it goes to the suspect. It doesn't go from here to Liechtenstein to Panama to cryptocurrency to the suspect. It's very basic.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not a CPA. I'm not smart enough, but I can put together a case.
Fair enough. So before I have a lot of questions for you, but one question came in on the stream. It's a good question from Dr. Samira Yekta. I apologize if I did not pronounce this correctly. I wonder what are the main motivations? Is it that they need money, or do they just see an opportunity and use it? What are the motivations behind these pink collar criminals?
So I'm going to say a lot of times it starts because there is a true financial need. Like there is some financial need and they need to, pay a bill, get their kid out of jail, sick parent, sick child. It can start that way. I think eventually they learn to like the lifestyle.
Okay.
I kind of joke that they go from Suave shampoo to a Beta shampoo. So $2 shampoo to $45 shampoo, and they like it better. And it's easy for them to do. And so they just kind of keep going along. And then there's, I say FOMO, fear of missing out. With social media, everyone's going on vacations and things like that. And it's like, why can't I go on vacation? Oh, I can go on vacation.
Yeah, at the expense of a business owner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times I do think, especially for females, and ACFE report to the nation does say it, that there is a financial need.
Okay. So, I mean, that was going to be one of my follow-up questions anyways. Why is it growing? I mean, you just kind of address it with the financial need, I would say, but I mean, I'm starting to hear more and more about these relatively small embezzlement cases. Why is this such a growing trend?
Well, one of the things is women are, according to the Pew Research, it's over 40% of the primary breadwinners. So women now have the pressure that men have had forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they have those financial pressures.
Mm-hmm.
Also, women are in the workforce. I mean, the workforce is pretty much half and half. And so they're in the positions, back in the 60s and 70s, early 70s, they weren't in the positions. So they didn't have the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Now they have the opportunity and they have the pressure. And I'm never going to say there's a good rationalization for theft and embezzlement. But if you have a really cruddy tone at the top, it's easier for them to rationalize the theft. I will show an example of a business owner who goes, say, on a business vacation or a business trip, brings their family along. They come back, they hand the $20,000 Black American Express bill to the office manager, and the office manager will say, well, I know you took your family. How do you want me to break this out? And the business owner will say, it's none of your business, just pay it all. And right then, that business manager knows that the owner is stealing by not paying taxes. And so it can take, 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, even 6 years. And all of a sudden they're like, I want to go to the beach. I'm not going to the West. I'm just going to the local beach, but I want to spend a couple nights. What's a couple $100? They stole. So don't give your employees that rationalization. Just don't do it.
Okay. So that again, well, I was going to ask you, maybe you have some other ones as well. So don't give them the rationalization would be one, but what are some other steps that organizations can take to deter this type of criminal activity? And another one we can probably infer from our conversation is ensuring that everyone takes their vacations. But are there any other concrete things that companies can do? It's probably not that easy to detect, especially if it's a well-liked person. And so what would be the steps that they could take?
Again, number one, mail your bank statements home. It's so easy. It's free. I have a business owner recently who she didn't mail the bank statements home, but she would look online at the amounts. And she'd see a check for $2,500. She never actually clicked on the check image. And one day she kind of got the fat finger and she accidentally clicked on the check image. And she saw that $2,500 check that she thought was going to a vendor was being made out to a bookkeeper. Okay. And so her thing that she's just on a mission to is make sure you either get copies of the checks from your bank or click on the images. It's not just matching the dollar amounts, it's actually clicking on the images. I also say kind of surprise audits, and tips find fraud more often than audits, but a surprise audit is if you know that your auditors always come in a certain month, mix it up. And if your auditors only look at a sample of certain things, mix that up. Keep them on their toes. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Kind of be creative in mixing things up so they don't expect the same thing every single year.
Yeah. So, are there any, I'm going to shift a little bit. Are there any closing thoughts you want to say on the pink collar crime topic? Any last pieces of advice before I shift?
Yeah, the thing is I'm going to say it's the everywhere crime. Wherever I go, someone literally, when they find out what I do, they tell me about their embezzlement story, whether it's their business, a place they worked at, a family member who's been embezzled. It can happen to anyone. There's an astronaut Smart. I mean, I think people would say astronauts are pretty darn smart. He was ripped off $750,000. It doesn't matter where you are on the org chart and how intelligent, if you're a member of Mensa, it can happen to you because they're the ones who are down in the weeds.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who see the holes.
Yeah.
So don't get too complacent and think just because you're really smart and you've created this amazing business that you don't have to pay attention to the weeds, because you do.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So pink collar crime is your signature topic, but you also train and have a lot of experience in other areas of fraud detection and prevention. So what are some other areas you're specialized in?
I do an ethics presentation, which I have to say I did it 4 hours this week, and I thought 4 hours might be a bit long for the audience, not for me because I love it. But, on behavioral economics. So I use a lot of Dan Ariely's material, and my presentation is called Honestly Dishonest. It's a play on his work of The Truth About Dishonesty and his movie, The Dishonesty Project.
Mm-hmm.
And again, everyone except psychopaths, I say, whose amygdalas are 1/5 the size of regular humans, wants to, at the end of the day, look in the mirror and see a good person. But as the day wears on, things happen. And, so the ethics presentation, a lot of people don't think embezzlement will happen to them. So I train on the ethics. And by the end of the presentation, they understand how people can make a bad choice.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So I do that. I also do a presentation on Rita Crunwell, who stole $53 million from the town of Dixon, Illinois, which is Ronald Reagan's hometown. And his famous saying was trust but verify. Well, the town trusted but did not verify.
Right. Okay. So let's end with a personal story, maybe. What would you say is the most challenging case you've worked, and how did you overcome these challenges? I mean, we heard a lot about your investigative background, the different areas you've worked in. What would you say has been your greatest challenge?
So I worked an embezzlement case for a nonprofit for almost 3 years, and there were a lot of challenges in it. But one of the things is that money is replaceable. Like, you can work more, maybe you have insurance. Money is replaceable. The trust is just the part that is the hardest. And I'm going to say it on both sides. So in this case, a woman was accused of embezzling from a nonprofit. In the end, she ended up pleading guilty to a felony, but there was a payout because it was very convoluted. There was a life estate and everything like that. But as the investigator, I was the one who was out talking to the witnesses. And the key to solving the case was seeing how each side was pretty much backed into their corner, and how we could use that in order to negotiate for both sides to feel that it was a good resolution. And the investigators are the ones who are out talking to the people and really, really listening and understanding, like, what would make them whole. I kind of laugh that I'm a fraud therapist. I'm cheaper than the attorney. So when the victim is devastated and upset and things aren't happening quickly, they come to me and they're like, why? So these cases, that's the other thing, is you have to be patient.
Yeah.
These cases take so long. I have a woman I'm helping. A year ago, she turned a case into law enforcement. It still hasn't been indicted. And she's kind of crushed. She's upset because she sees the suspect on social media just living the life.
Yeah.
Really, really frustrated. So the patience and understanding what each side needs to do to move forward. Most of these cases, the embezzler will confess right off the bat. And how can you make that person understand what they're looking at? So investigators do a lot of, I'm not going to call it social work, but they do a lot of deep digging into, why it happened, how it happened, and how to move forward.
Okay.
So
So I mean, would you say that the role has changed quite a bit, the investigator's role, over the last 20 years?
Well, I've kind of never been your typical private
Mm,
investigator. I got
mm,
my CFE in 2008, and because I like, as I said, I love money and how people react to it. Um, so I specialize in those type of cases. I just think that, I don't know if it's life costs more or people want to live a better life, that they do crazy things for money,
yeah,
and it's relatively easy to get at.
yeah,
And if you're in the right position, you'd be shocked at how easy it is to get at it.
yeah.
So yeah.
All right. I know that I said that would be the last question, but do you have any trips coming up, trainings coming up?
Oh yeah, I'm heading to Phoenix Institute of Internal Auditors next week, and it's sold out 150 people, and I'm doing 2 hours of pink and 2 hours of honestly dishonest. And then my last trip of the year is Long Island Institute of Management Accountants. I'm doing a evening presentation on Catch Me If You Can, today's pink collar criminal. And then
Okay.
I've got best year ever. I've been swamped. It's awesome.
So what is the story behind the Catch Me If You Can?
So that's the Frank Abagnale, Leo
Yeah,
DiCaprio
yeah,
story, and you can't copyright titles. And I just like so instead of blue, I have the logo as in pink. Catch Me If You Can, today's pink collar criminal. Because people, whenever I meet someone, they're like, "What's pink collar crime?" And
yeah.
when I explain it, then they're like, "Oh yeah." So I just kind of made it fun and clever, and
Cool. I made our little banner for today. Where is it? There for pink. But I
and
didn't have anything. I didn't have anything pink in my closet. So
I'm wearing pink today. I used to not wear pink, but now I'm owning pink. So
good. Well, thank you very much for your time. We are just under what I told you would be our limit of the time I'm going to take from your busy schedule, just under 30 minutes. So thank you very much for jumping on the live broadcast.
thank you.
And it was a lot of fun talking. Maybe we'll have a follow-up episode next year, and you can tell about some of your travels and things you learned from the market as well. But yeah, it was great having you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
And before I leave, I usually like to show what's upcoming on the show. So I'm going to just blend this in really quick. So Joe Stephenson, we are going to be talking about You've Been Facebooked. That'll be fun. That is going to be a special edition on Thursday. So it's the Thursday edition of Fraud Fact Friday because it's International Fraud Awareness Week. And I wanted to go live, but Friday I'll be traveling. So that is a special edition. And then on December 6th with Matt Christensen, the Fraud Not Frog podcast host, we're going to be talking cybersecurity and lots of other fraud topics. So yeah, that's that. Thank you again for your time, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a
All
great
right.
weekend.
Yes, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.